SpaceX billionaire Elon Musk has just unveiled SpaceX's new high-tech suit. SpaceX's new spacesuit design is unlike anything NASA or anyone else has ever done. SpaceX's state-of-the-art spacesuit boasts many unique features like touchscreen compatibility, dynamic heat regulation, and more you won't believe your eyes. The SpaceX spacesuit is more like something out of a sci-fi movie. What sets this unique spacesuit apart from others, and what role does it play in developing space travel? Elon Musk has offered the services of SpaceX to help NASA produce its next-generation spacesuits after a watchdog report on Tuesday said that the agency's current program is behind schedule and will cost more than $1 billion. Musk's company developed and manufactured flight suits for astronauts who launch into orbit in SpaceX's Crew Dragon spacecraft. Flight suits are primarily intended to protect astronauts in the event of a fire inside the spacecraft or during cabin depressurization. The SpaceX high-tech spacesuit is individually designed for astronauts. During the conference abroad, the space station hurriedly gushed praise about the spacesuit, saying, "I've bet we've donned and offered those suits a couple of hundred times. They were much easier to get in and out of zero-G." In comparison to the pumpkin suits, which are known as the Advanced Crew Escape Suits ACEs, these spacesuits are suited to the astronaut's particular body type. The ACEs and SpaceX spacesuits are not intended for spacewalks but for backup during launches and landings. The SpaceX spacesuit protects the crew from the rapid drop in pressure within the spacecraft. It has constructed a fireproof material which also protects the astronauts in case of a fire. The suit gloves were conceived to interact with the touchscreens of the Crew Dragon spacecraft. To do spaceship operations, the astronauts would not have to remove any parts of their suits. The astronauts are protected by the helmet, which also seals in oxygen and houses the communication units and valves that maintain the suit's functioning and ensure comfort. SpaceX's new high-tech spacesuit was created and built to be user-friendly. Suits can be hooked through seat umbilicals to obtain cold air and oxygen from the spaceship. Chris Tigg, SpaceX's manager of spacesuits and crew equipment, said, "One of the things that were important in developing the suit was to make it easy to use." NASA's pumpkin suits are no longer in use. A new breed of spaceship begets a new kind of spacesuit. The suit produced by SpaceX is a sleek one-piece white design that's significantly sleeker and less bulky than anything designed by NASA. Musk has to convince people that the spacesuit works since its design is so slick and stylish. Rather than imitate NASA's spacesuits, SpaceX has reached back and pulled ahead, employing vintage style to create something new. Regarding usefulness, Bob Behnken believes SpaceX's spacesuit outperforms NASA's pumpkin suit. He said, "The SpaceX spacesuit has at least one big advantage, a high enough fidelity. Most of the technological features of SpaceX suit are kept secret. This is vital to keep the opponent at sea." Elon Musk's private space exploration business has highlighted that the suits are designed to work in tandem with the computer displays that astronauts would use to monitor the Dragon systems and maneuver in orbit space or the International Space Station. NASA sees no flaws in the spacesuit, admitting SpaceX's spacesuit is designed to be practical, lightweight, and to give protection from any depressurization. NASA, humiliated by SpaceX's trendy high-tech spacesuit, is determined to leave the pumpkin suit in the dust and create its next-generation spacesuit. This next-generation spacesuits, however, would have to be designed by the private sector. Elon Musk has proposed that SpaceX will manufacture NASA's spacesuits as NASA's current effort, according to Musk, is behind schedule and will cost more than $1 billion. Musk's business has designed and manufactured flight suits for astronauts who travel into space on SpaceX's Crew Dragon spaceship. The flight suits are primarily intended to protect the astronauts in the event of a fire or cabin depressurization. Given the requirement to exist outside of a spaceship in the harsh space environment, developing spacesuits would be a more difficult task. But Musk seems confident and tweeted, "SpaceX could do it if need be." The construction of the spacesuits would be more complex and demanding, given the need to survive outside the spacecraft in the harsh space environment. In a statement to CNBC about Musk's offer, NASA spokeswoman Monica Witt pointed to the agency's request last month to companies in the space industry for feedback on purchasing commercial spacesuits, hardware, and services. The new spacesuits have a large number of different components supplied by 27 different companies, according to the Inspector General. That's the point Musk also made when he said in a tweet that there seem to be too many cooks in the kitchen. SpaceX spacesuits have already been tested twice. One was on a dummy behind the wheel of a Tesla that SpaceX launched into space on its Falcon Heavy rocket in 2018. Another was on a dummy called Ripley, which flew aboard the Crew Dragon when it completed the Demo 1 unmanned test flight last year. However, Ben, Ken, and Hurley will be the first people to test the suits in spaceflight. SpaceX has already designed spacesuits that have been worn on several space missions, but the sleek black and white duds aren't designed for extravehicular spacewalks, never mind navigating the hostile surface of another world. The SpaceX spacesuit drastically changes the situation, as it looks much less bulky, which will make it easier for astronauts to work or space tourists to maneuver. It looks cool and that's fine, but this isn't something you can take out on an EVA. It's just backup life support designed to keep you alive in the event of cabin depressurization and to give you the minimum mobility needed to fly. Craft. It's a very simplistic design, with not just integral boots but integrated gloves. They're there so they're always on in case of depressurization. But that's not a feature you need or want in a proper spacesuit. Since one size does not fit all, this guarantees that this thing is never meant to be put under pressure except for testing or a life-and-death emergency. New ideas were put into the suit's design to reduce complexity, bulk, and weight. Weight reduction is important to increase payload efficiency. The SpaceX suits echo the main design from the Space Shuttle in the 1980s. During this time, new materials and deeper understanding of the space environment and mission requirements and 3D design software enabled more efficient suit design. The current SpaceX suit you've seen in pictures and promotional material isn't a spacesuit. It's a pressure suit designed to be worn inside the vehicle during launch and re-entry. The suit is designed to protect the crew in case of a loss of oxygen or pressure inside the ship. You wouldn't carry it outside of a ship because it's not meant for that. Research studies show that SpaceX's new spacesuits are not spacesuits. They're partial pressure suits designed by SpaceX to be worn inside a spacecraft. Their purpose is to protect the crew during either depressurization or a contaminated atmosphere inside the spacecraft. These suits are sealed and have an umbilical opening for hoses that provide oxygen or nitrox. They're not intended to be worn outside of a spacecraft or by someone who needs to move around. In short, they're designed to keep the person safe in the seat. Their function is comparable to the orange ACES suit worn by NASA astronauts in the Space Shuttle. They're not orange because there is no help for Dragon. The shuttle suits were orange to make it easier for rescue teams to spot the crew floating in the ocean. They are tighter both because maneuverability is less of a concern because rescue is out of the question, and because materials have advanced since the shuttle suits were designed over 30 years ago. The stated purpose of the suit is to supply pressure and oxygen if the cabin is suddenly depressurized, so we can assume that the suit will inflate and hold air and keep the person alive for some time, but it won't do things it wasn't designed to do, like regulate temperature and allow the astronaut to bend their arms and legs. Think about what it would be like inside a fabric container filled with 14 pounds per square inch of air pressure. The suit would be very stiff. Sure, EVA suits use low-pressure oxygen inside and have layers of insulation and thermal regulation. The SpaceX suit is just a bag of air. Nothing wrong with that, it does the job. The SpaceX suit is only intended as a backup system. SpaceX's new spacesuit appears to be a trade secret, but it's clear that SpaceX has put in a lot of work. As established, industrial firms are still using Cold War-era spacesuit technology. Hurley believes SpaceX's suit is superior to NASA's pumpkin suits. During the conversation, Banking applauded Hurley's remarks concerning the spacesuit. SpaceX set the standard. Innovations such as reusable stages and fairings reduced the cost of spaceflight, saving NASA money. With its excess capacity, Starship could cheaply put large telescopes into orbit and do heavy science experiments on moons and planets. Now, 20 years later, SpaceX is a dominant force in its own right. The company aims to build its 2,000-satellite Starlink internet constellation to accommodate 30,000 spacecraft. It develops the orbital space tourism program. It is the only U.S. provider of manned missions to the International Space Station. SpaceX's strong competitive advantage over Blue Origin stems from its wealth of flight-proven hardware, including its Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy rockets and Dragon spacecraft. In short, SpaceX's new spacesuit is especially designed to protect astronauts from the cold, radiation, and low pressure of space. It also provides air to breathe. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more exciting Elon Musk's videos.